In our last video, we wanted to see what a trip from Detroit to Port Huron would be like on the interurban back in the early 1900s. And so as we went through the little stops and towns, the last one that we went to was Marine City. And the next stop that we want to look at is St. Clair Springs and the Oakland Hotel. This card says it all: to those seeking pleasure, to those seeking rest, to those seeking recreation, to those seeking health. The Oakland Hotel will meet those needs. There's no longer a St. Clair Springs, but there is St. Clair, and that's where it would have been located had it been today. It would have been just south of Pine River, south of the salt plant. St. Clair Springs was a designated post office that took care of the Oakland Hotel, the Oakland Cottages, and the Oakland Villas, just especially for them. The post office was located right inside the hotel. As the interurban was approaching the Oakland Hotel, it came right down Front Street, which today would be South Riverside Avenue. This is what it looked like back then, and this is what the same street looks like today. On the right side of the street would have been the front of the hotel. Opposite, on the other side, where this house that you see here is, were the cottages that Oakland Hotel owned, called the Oakland Cottages. And this house that you see is actually one of the original Oakland Cottages. The Oakland Hotel was located between the two streets that you see here. On the right, you see M29, which is Oakland Avenue, and on the left, you see South Riverside Avenue, which back then would have been Front Street. Back then, Oakland Avenue was just a river dirt road that was mainly used by the hotel, and Front Street, or now Riverside Avenue, would have been in front of the hotel. And as you can see from this insert, this is where the hotel would have been located. It took up quite a bit of space. Let's take another look at this cottage. It's been nicely restored, and see what the cottages look like, say 100 years ago or so in this photograph here. These cottages are all very similar. The decor on them, the way that they are architecturally designed as far as the roof and gables, and most of them had some type of a tower on them as well. In this photograph here, you can see that same cottage sitting across the street from the Oakland Hotel. Let's take a little closer look at it. And then as we look across the street, we can see the Oakland Hotel. This is the only picture I've ever seen that showed the front of the hotel. Most of the pictures that we see are from the riverside. The building that looks like it's a separate building out in front of the hotel, right there on your left side, is actually the kitchen area. This is where all the preparations were made for the main dining room. It's also where the servants' dining room was as well, where they would eat. And also the pastry room was there, and right on the south side, or the right-hand side of that building, this other little extra building that looks like, this is actually the winter dining area, where they wouldn't have as many guests, and they would seat the winter dining guests inside that building. And then on the south end of the main building was a mineral bathhouse. And like I said before, there was two reasons people left Detroit. One was go to the mineral baths, and the other was to get away from the heat. They could do both here with the mineral bath at the Oakland Hotel, and also the cool breezes off the St. Clair River. On the very south end of the building, you'll see this smokestack, and right next to the smokestack, you see the tower. And the tower is where the mineral well was that provided the mineral bath water for the hotel, and it also housed the bottling work for the Salutaris mineral water. This mineral water was very popular. It was supposed to be very healthy for you as well. It was featured in not only in the Oakland Hotel, but in fine restaurants across the United States. Here's a photograph of the inside of the bottling company. And here are the cases of bottles being ready to be shipped out. And these cases are still out there, except now they're empty. And here's a Salutaris giveaway that's still around. This was given to the merchants that handled their products. And as the return on this envelope says, Salutaris, the table water of the world. And that was part of the Oakland Hotel. So what does Bob Hope standing at a bar have anything to do with Salutaris Bottling Company? Well, let me ask you a question. What did Bob Hope always order at the bar? Sarsaparilla. And who do you think made that? You guessed it, Salutaris. And later on they would actually produce soft drinks. But this video isn't about Salutaris. I'm including all this in here for no extra charge to you, so don't feel bad. We're going to look at the Oakland Hotel. That's the main reason. The main reason, of course, being that this is the competition that Port Huron faced. A large hotel, a well-run hotel, a hotel that had all kinds of recreation, and had the mineral baths as well. So let's take a look at this hotel. Most photographs you see of this hotel were taken from the riverside. That's probably because a lot of folks took them from the steamers that they were on. I would like to read you some excerpts from the writings of one of those passengers that saw the Oakland for the first time from one of the steamers that was coming up the St. Clair River. Suppose you, on your first arrival, to approach the Oakland by water from the south, say from Detroit, by the favorite and swift sailing steamer, whether it be the Idlewild or the Tajmut. As you near the spot, having been feasting your eyes for miles and miles on such lake and river scenery as is hardly to be found in this or any land, you notice a stir among the passengers and a movement toward the west side of the boat. You observe hands outstretched in the act of pointing. You hear from different sides and in different voices the repeated name, Oakland. And looking in the direction indicated, your eye is greeted with a scene which, if you are not, almost makes you wish you were staying there, even if you were an invalid and were ordered there for the mineral baths. It is a scene as viewed from the nearing deck of your steamer, at once so magnificent, so unique, so restful, so inviting. The broad expanse of the blue water, upon which the Oakland from a near distance seems ever affectionately looking with quiet, steady, approving gaze, whatever the river's mood. We venture the assertion, though you may have been an extensive traveler, seldom has your eyes rested upon a group of buildings which from a distant view seem so much in harmony with, so much a part of the general landscape, as the Oakland at St. Clair. Wow, this fella had a way with words, didn't he? Well, here we see the steamer docked at the outer dock of the Oakland. You'll see there's a body of water in between the outer dock and the shoreline, and this did two things. It allowed the steamer to be in deeper water so it didn't run ashore, and it gave the bathers a place to bathe in that they didn't have to worry about a steamer hitting them. They were in more shallow water there. Notice the horse and buggies. This would actually be Oakland Avenue today. Well, it was Oakland Avenue back then too, but it doesn't look the same as it does today. Like I say, it was a very small road, a dirt road, and used mainly for the hotel. The folks would disembark the steamer and they would go on the dock and then along this boardwalk to the hotel, and this boardwalk took you to the Oakland Avenue, and then you crossed there without any problem at all, and then you would go to the steps of the Oakland and go into the main lobby and registration. This is where you would have registered for your stay at the Oakland. And if you were to look back on the hotel register 6 weeks after its grand opening, there were recorded the names of over 1,000 guests. That's not including the excursionists who merely visited without patronizing the hotel. And these are the excursionists that they're talking about. The folks would get off the steamers, and even though they weren't going to stay there, they certainly wanted to see the Oakland so they could go home and tell everybody about it. And so they would enjoy it, and Oakland enjoyed it too because they got business off of it once people saw it. This is an adjoining part of the lobby or the reception area. The middle of the hotel on the first floor was mainly taken up by the registration desk, the post office, the reading room, the Western Union office, and also there was an office for the interurban cars as well that facilitated easy passage to Port Huron or back to Detroit. To the right of the lobby, or the north end of the building, there was a large dining area that could seat probably 150 people. And if they had more than that in the summertime, they could use their winter dining room, which also seated probably about half of that size. But they could put that into use as well. Facing the river over the broad veranda on which the dining hall opens extends an adjustable awning, and that provided extra table accommodations when needed. The veranda was 22 feet wide, so it gave them a lot of space, and we'll look at the verandas a little bit later. As you go through the dining room going north, all the way to the end of the building, the music and dancing hall was right there, which is what this picture shows. It was spacious and cheerful, well-lighted room, accessible during the day to children and younger people for their enjoyment. And also they had the dance classes that for the young people from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock in the evening. After 9 o'clock, they had regular informal dancing for the adults, which continued until 11 o'clock. Except on those evenings where there were concerts, musicals, private theatricals, or other entertainment. Also on the north end, on the main floor, there was a billiard room, as well as the barber shop. On the south end of the hotel, just past the registration desk, if you went that way, you'd find this private parlor that you're looking at. The second floor was all guest room, but right above the area where this private parlor was, on the second floor, there was this parlor here, which was open to the public. Both these parlor rooms opened onto the veranda and gave them a wonderful view of the St. Clair River. Also, both rooms had pianos, which aren't shown here. These rooms are accessed by this large hallway here, and you can see on the left a staircase going up to the second floor. But they also had 2 elevators. One elevator was in the southern section near the bathhouse, and this elevator was large enough to accommodate somebody that would be in a wheelchair as well. The second elevator was actually closer to the north end of the building. As you continue down the hallway in the southern portion of the hotel, there were a few sleeping rooms down there as well. Then you would have come to this room here, which is the waiting room for the bathhouse. And if you went through that door on the left there, you would have went down a corridor with these individual bathing rooms you see here on the right and the left. On the left would have been the gents, and on the right, the ladies. The individual bathrooms were 10 feet by 12 feet in size, and each one was equipped with apparatus for the administration of hot and cold mineral water as required in the bath. Each bathroom contained a porcelain-lined bathtub, a table for massage, the usual toilet equipment, and was provided with the electric call bell placed at the side of the bathtub, connecting the office of the resident physicians. Just past these bathing rooms, the bathers had restrooms, where the bathers could rest upon the couches and easy chairs while regaining the normal condition after bathing. The physician's office was immediately adjoining the bathhouse, and that was called the medical superintendent. He oversaw all the bathhouse facilities, the treatments, and the attendance. And there were many treatments, as you can tell from this photograph right here. This is a rate schedule for both the mineral baths and the hotel rates. But let's look at just the mineral baths right now. We can see that the mineral bath with an attendant was 75 cents each. You could get it without the attendant for 25 cents less. And electric baths were $1. Turkish baths, so on and so forth. I figured out what most of these baths were, except the electric bath. When I think about an electric bath, I think of somebody taking a bath and somebody throwing an electric fan inside the bathtub. That's an electric bath. So I had to do some research on this. And I found out that the electric bath was used for treating rheumatism and painful joints with a bath for each limb. Each bath had its own current. There was no danger of electric shock as the porcelain tubs were not connected to water pipes and were well insulated from earthing. It also allowed the person to be treated without undressing, speeding up treatment time and proving much more comfortable and convenient than a full. In this brochure here put out by the Oakland Hotel, it also mentions that it had mineral plunge or swimming baths, and those were 50 cents. You can also see that you could take home the mineral water that you drank, either by the barrel, by the quart, or by the pint. I've never seen a colored picture of this, either in a photograph or in a postcard, which is unusual, I think. But I always considered that the hotel was probably white with some darker color roof. But I found out that the main part of the hotel building was actually a light olive green, while the upper and tile portions of the roof and the veranda was a deep brick red. So it's been quite a unique color combination. With the exception of a few guest rooms on the main floor, all the guests were put on the second, third, and fourth floor. There was room on the fifth floor for more rooms if needed. I don't know if they were ever built on the fifth floor or not, though. The hotel had 1/8 of a mile of verandas that went around the hotel. It covered the complete east side of the hotel, the riverside, and gave a wonderful view for people sitting out there on the veranda. And also on the northern side, on the end of the hotel, as you can see in this picture here. And the folks on the north end would also had a river view. In the wintertime, some of the veranda was enclosed with glass, so the people could still go out there in the sunshine. This photograph here gives you a good idea of what the veranda looks like. You can see it's quite wide, 22 feet, and it goes a long distance. You could get your exercise just walking around the veranda. It was a very enjoyable experience to sit out on the veranda on a warm summer night with the cool breeze coming off the St. Clair River and having conversation with family and friends. It's not often you have so many historic pictures of an important place in that time era and important information to go along with those pictures. And so we're taking advantage of it, and we have some more things we want to show you regarding the Oakland, and then we'll get back on the inner urban and finish our trip to Port Huron.